Hello, welcome to Drug Error Talk. I'm Matt Hamilton, and today we are talking about Zyvox and Linezolid, its effects on the human body, consequences of the errors, how those are made, and what to do if an error does occur. I am a trial attorney specializing in drug errors, and I represent victims. I'm joined today by Doctor Jesse Garcia. Welcome, Dr. Garcia. What is your specialty, sir?
I am a clinical pharmacist specializing in drug interactions and the effects on the body.
And today, what drug are we talking about?
We're going to be talking about Linezolid, otherwise known as Zyvox.
And Zyvox, if somebody was prescribed that, would that be the name that they were given?
You would typically see it as Linezolid now because it has a generic now.
Okay, but Zyvox is the same thing?
Same medication.
What does it do in the human body?
Linezolid is actually an antibiotic. You typically would see it for pneumonia or some types of highly resistant skin infections.
How frequently do you see Zyvox or Linezolid?
In my practice, we probably see it maybe 4 times a year, not very often.
And that's out of, how many prescriptions are you giving out in a year?
Anywhere from maybe 140 to 150,000 a year.
4 times out of 140 to 150,000 prescriptions. Why is it used so seldom?
It's used seldom because it is targeted at a very highly specific bacteria. So you basically use it when nothing else works.
Gotcha. Are mistakes made occasionally with a Zyvox or Linezolid prescription?
Zyvox can be, because it's so infrequently used, sometimes we will see incorrect dosing. We may see that, especially in kids, where it may not be used that often. We can see that. We also see when weight comes into effect. If you have, either an obese patient, they might see that the dose may not be as effective, or the dosing needs to be changed in some weight cases.
So if there's an obese patient, it's more likely that an error might be made because of dosage than, say, somebody of a normal weight range.
Correct.
Does that also translate down to children?
In children as well. Since the drug in and of itself is one that is not used often. So therefore, just in normal everyday course, whether you're a child and a normal weight adult or an obese patient, it's going to be the same effects, just not used very often.
Is there a dosage difference with respect to the type of infection that you get?
Of course. So depending on what you're trying to treat, because these are very specific targets that you have to ensure that you're using the correct dose for the correct bacterial infection that you have. So you would not want to use either a higher dose or a lower dose than you would specifically need for that cultured bacteria.
Gotcha. So whoever's prescribing it and who's ever filling it might get the dosage right because of their age or their weight, but make a mistake because of the type of infection.
Correct. They just may pick the wrong one. They may believe that that's what it was because maybe they had done it maybe a few months back and they thought they remembered, as opposed to going and looking it up.
Is there a maximum weight issue?
The maximum weight that's been studied in clinical trials is 330 pounds.
So if you're someone that's been prescribed this and you weigh more than 330 pounds, is that a particular risk?
You're at risk just because they don't, the dosing hasn't been established beyond that weight. So you may need more, you may need less. We don't know.
It's a blind area.
It's a blind area.
Well, is there an issue with respect to how short or how long people use Linezolid or Zyvox?
In terms of length of therapy, you don't want to use it for a very long time. It can begin to affect the vision. We can see issues that occur with what's called peripheral neuropathy, which is changes in sensitivity in the periphery, being your hands, your feet, loss of sensation, and so forth.
Let's say there is a dosage problem. Let's say they're given the wrong amount or one of these mistakes is made. What sort of consequences should a patient expect?
Depending on what other medications you might be taking, you might be at risk for something called Serotonin Syndrome, which is a very rapid and probable effect. It basically has to do with the fact that you're taking medications such as an SSRI, which is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, which basically can be used for depression. So if you're taking that and you're taking linezolid, you can see increased risk of serotonin syndrome, which would result in some shaking, muscle cramping, or rigidity. In some cases, you might even find that you have a fever and even seizures. At worst case scenario, being possibly death.
Does this have an effect on the blood? Are there any consequences to the blood in the body?
Depending on what other medications you're taking, yes. I mean, the drug in and of itself, in certain patient populations, you find that it's more risky to use. It's kind of that balance, because if you're using this drug, number one, you've probably already tried everything else and it hasn't worked. So you're kind of almost at a last resort. You have to.
As an antibiotic, does it affect clotting any?
It can affect clotting if you do take certain medications, because there is a reaction that can occur with those medications, like I said, the SSRI group, whereby the serotonin gets concentrated in the brain and the homeostasis of the blood itself can be affected, meaning you might have less of an ability to clot.
Well, doctor, if you're taking Zyvox or linezolid and you start to have problems, say, in your fingers or your eyesight, or you have a seizure, what should you do?
Well, because of the nature of the drug, you definitely want to get seen. I always advise to make sure you bring an updated medication list to the doctor. And this is not a situation where you would want to kind of take that wait and see method. This is an act now method.
Okay. Well, when we're talking about act now, are we talking about waiting till the morning and calling your doctor and making an appointment?
No, not in this case.
Okay. What should they do? I mean,
you should seek immediate attention if that's a urgent care or emergency room, and let them know the medication that you're taking and what effects you're having.
Okay, all right, we'll do that. Well, this has been Drug Era Talk. I've been joined by Doctor Jesse Garcia. Additional information is available at our website, law-kc.com, and also check out additional videos on our YouTube channels. We've been talking about Zyvox and linezolid and its effect on the human body with respect to drug errors. And this is Drug Era Talk. Thank you.